So recently on Board Game Geek, and this happens probably, once every month or two?
Yeah, a couple months.
There's always a thread that people are basically taking a poo on reviewers, where they're saying, I can't trust reviewers because they got games for free, or they never give bad reviews and stuff like that. So I thought I would put together, Matt and I have talked a couple of things about this in the very beginning, and I think Eric may have been on one later on.
Yeah, I think so.
I can't remember exactly.
Something about it.
So this is kind of like a revisited topic, but it's combining a lot of things that we talked about a couple of years back, right? Helps to go over these. So what it's called is game reviewer expectations. Now, some of these questions are from the audience. Some of them are from the actual game reviewer type of thing. So we're just going to ask questions and debate them and see what we come up with. And the first one I wanted to talk about is the main one that a lot of people are saying that they didn't like. And I even did a search on this and found many, many threads on Reddit and other forums that, and even Facebook groups that would, go through this exact same thing, where people do not like when they hear that reviewers get review copies and they form their opinion. So how do you feel about reviewers' opinions on games in which they got a free reviewer copy? Like, I full disclosure, obviously, we get review copies, but if you put yourself back in a time when before that, or you're watching other people's opinions, like, does that weigh on you at all?
No, not for me anyway, because the people that are reviewing games and reviewing a lot of games, sometimes you're not able to get that amount of games if you were purchasing them yourself. For one.
My watch just said that somebody's following me on Twitter, and it just shows the picture of their icon. It's just like some weird face dude. Anyway, so good podcasting there. Yeah. Anyway, keep going, Eric. Keep going.
No, it doesn't really bother me. So I know that they can, or I would hope anyway, that if I'm trusting and looking at any specific reviewer, that I trust them to give me their honest opinion about the game. So I don't think that would change because they just got a free copy of it.
Yeah. What about you, Matt?
You would like to think that. I could see where some of the distrust might come from, because I would imagine if a reviewer smashed games and completely put them down, it's probably going to deter publishers from giving them more games. I mean, they might take one or two on the chin, but after that, I could see a publisher just being like, I'm not going to get this guy any more games. He keeps bashing us. So I don't know. It's kind of a weird line to walk down. I would like to believe the reviewers are giving their best reviews, but I kind of see where the distrust could come from.
Right.
From the public.
Only thing that's kind of makes me, side think it is if a reviewer is working or has a closer connection with one publisher, and on their set of games, they're always talking about it, always bringing them up, always gushing about
that, or they'll never say anything negative about that certain publisher.
Right.
You can kind of see through some of that too sometimes, but
yeah,
that's just the nature of the world, though. You as much as we hate the good old boy club, there's good old boy clubs everywhere. So it happens.
That is so true. Yeah, it's always these cliques everywhere, no matter what hobby or job or anything that you're in. So,
which sometimes you can kind of peg it out, because sometimes it's more about let me sell you this game instead of let me tell you my opinion of it.
What do you think, George?
I agree with what you say. Like, take it with a grain of salt, because you do notice those relationships. There are certain cliques, and they're friends with each other. They're not going to, necessarily trash each other's games, even if they might personally really not like them. You can sort of see when it happens. Like, you do see through it. And not that it happens a whole lot. Usually, people have decent games and they have enjoyable experiences. But there's a difference between really liking a game and just, saying, well, I enjoyed it, and not being very clear about why.
Well, let's go back to the original question, though. What about the review copy thing? Do you think that does that change any of your when you're viewing somebody and they say they got a review copy?
It does, yeah.
For the good or better, or are you just wary? Do you immediately think that they're disingenuous and going to tell all positives or what?
No, but it's in the back of my head.
I gotcha.
Right. I think it should be disclosed, and it's definitely, part of what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Because if I know it's not someone who does that and they go out and buy their games, and give an honest review every time, then yeah, I'm going to probably listen to them a little more.
Somebody else brought up a interesting reply to that, and they said that they're likely to not trust somebody who bought all their games than trust somebody who got free copies, because
that makes no sense.
No, it does, because think about it. And the way they explained it was, if you spent $100 on a game, you have an investment. If I send you a $100 game for free, you have no investment.
That's not, I mean,
you got the investment of you want to maybe say good things, so they keep sending you review copies. But I feel like I've kind of agree with that statement, that I'm more likely to think that somebody's playing from a blank, or giving an opinion from a blank slate, rather than from a, I really wanted to like this game. I backed it on Kickstarter,
right?
And spent $200 and waited a year and a half.
Waited, yeah.
There's an expectation there, sure.
Yeah.
It's
because they play the game and they're like, it sucks, and they're like, let's try it again this way. Maybe Eric was the problem. Eric just broke every game. Let's play it again. It's like, no, this game sucks, dude. So I think that's a valid point.
There are two sides to everything. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those people who maybe they have a vested interest in the game because they bought it, maybe they come up with some good house rules too. So I like that too.
Mm-hmm.
George, the house rule man. Well, and we kind of talked about this a little bit, but how do you feel about reviewers who only do positive reviews?
Which I get that in a sense, because you are playing the games that you portray that you will like. Hopefully you're not going out and just playing anything or playing a game that you won't like. So
we do that. This game looks terrible. Let's try it out.
Yeah. But I'll say a lot of people are playing the games that they enjoy. So there is going to be a divergent to one side. They're going to like more of the games than dislike them.
Right.
But yes, there is a problem.
Because why would they waste their time to make reviews for games they hate?
Right. But to like every game is probably not sustainable or likely, I would say. And there is some people that might have this fake enthusiasm for for all games.
We're not naming names here.
and that's kind of, easier to see for me. I think some people maybe don't see it.
No, that's fair. Matt, you want to comment?
I mean, he pretty much said it.
Nail on the head.
Yeah.
George?
Absolutely what I was thinking. The fake enthusiasm really gets to me.
Yeah.
If you don't really like a game, don't say you really like it.
Yeah.
Don't act like you really like it. It's so obvious.
When I was doing...
let me just pop in on that real quick too, which is really weird because I can definitely, that's definitely fake enthusiasm. It's I wonder why more people don't catch up on that or see that like I see it.
I don't know.
That's really weird.
Maybe people just take, I don't know, they just try to see all the positives and they don't think that they're, I don't know.
No. Anyway.
Who knows? But I will say this. When I was doing reviews a lot for the Dice Tower, I purposely, even if I loved a game, I will find something I don't like about it. I will always... I think that's the best reviews right there, is even if all the games are positive, like if I have 50 reviews and every one of them ends with me saying, I like this game, each one of them, there will be something I don't like. I like this game, but I wish it was a little shorter. Or I like this game, but I didn't like these specific actions. Or I didn't think that the player powers were balanced very well. Didn't stop me from liking it, but I acknowledge the fact that this is bad. And I don't like when I watch... I don't care if I watch somebody who's always liking the games, but I don't like when people are not pointing things out in fear of some kind of retribution.
Yeah.
Here's what I'll say. I don't care who you are as a publisher. If your game sucks, I'm going to tell you.
Nothing bothers me more than when a game comes out and it has all the hype and everybody's giving it a good review, and then I get the game and I think, my God, what just happened?
Yeah. Who just paid money under the table for this?
I mean, Pie Town.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Haven't got to try that one out.
I haven't either.
But lots of house rules, fantastic. But when it first came out, everyone gave it positive reviews, and then no, sorry.
Probably because pie. We
Yeah.
can't hate pie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so then that's what everyone talks about, and it's just
Well, sometimes
you wonder what's really going on.
Yeah, well, there's that hotness effect. There's it's almost like a weird Bob mentality sometimes with things like
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
It's
Everybody likes this game. I must like it
yeah,
too.
it's and they just want to feel included in a group, or maybe just that's how our minds work. Sometimes we just
Maybe I'm not seeing
subconsciously
something.
just gravitate to the mass.
Mm-hmm.
And just see all the positive things they're saying and just love it just because it's kind of what we've been reading and seeing. And
Yeah.
And it is worth mentioning that I feel like I trust a review over a game that came out later than if it came out right before or when it's released.
Yes.
Because I feel like
Definitely.
there's some sort of incentive to say something good about it at that point.
Mhm.
Well, there are paid reviews now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if they disclose that, that's fine. I mean, you have to take that with a grain of salt
I
with
just
the
discount those.
understanding.
I discount those
Right,
completely.
yeah.
If you're paid to do the review, sorry, no.
Well,
Yeah.
there is a difference between review and preview, though. So if it's a paid preview,
Okay, yes, that's what they call it.
right? A paid preview isn't any. It should be non-subjectional. Is that right? Is that the word
Yeah,
terminology?
Subjective.
Yeah, non-subjective. Like
Right.
you are like showing off the game,
Here's a
but
component.
you're not saying
here's how
this
you
is
play
what I
it.
like or dislike.
Okay,
You know?
right.
Right. Here's how you play the game, and it's more like the rules summary. And maybe you might say, I really like, the artwork in this game or something.
Mhm.
But that's a subjective statement anyway. Because if you don't like fantasy art, you're not gonna. It doesn't matter if this person says it's great art or not. If you don't like it, you don't like it.
Sure.
Gameplay is a little bit different to be subjective about. But so if it's a paid preview, whatever. I'm mostly just watching those to learn the game rules.
Yeah.
Paid reviews. Man, I mean, I guess you could say that review copies are paid reviews, but this is for the people who don't understand how review copies work. Let me explain something. In most cases, when you have a published game or even most products, you're going to spend the publisher is going to charge MSRP at 5 times the amount that the item cost to manufacture. So a $50 game, in theory, cost them $10 to make. Now, maybe that's factoring in some shipping cost or not, but let's just say not for right now. So it cost them $10. Who cares? Even if they say it's $10 shipping per item and it's a $20 thing, yeah, cool. They sent it to me and I saved from... First off, I didn't even save $50 because there's no way that I'm going to buy games at full retail all the time. Most of the time, I can get them on Cool Stuff or Miniature Market at 30% off the cost. So right there, it's just kind of a false statement to say that I got a $50 game. I didn't get a $50 game. I got your perceived value of a $50 game.
Okay.
I really got a $35 game. Either way, it only
Sure.
cost them in the end $20. $10 for the cost to make it, $10 for shipping. And I'm being crazy on that shipping, by the way. It's probably not $10 because they probably have some sort of shipment deal with a distributor or whatever.
Okay, sure.
Or fulfillment company. So they just paid me $20 to do a review. And if I spend literally a couple of hours playing the game and an hour at minimal filming and reviewing it, you're not making money off of this. This is not a lucrative business to be a reviewer. So,
No, of course not.
yeah. I forgot what my entire point with that soapbox was. Because I forgot the first thing I said. What was I saying, Matt?
to explain to people listening how review copies work.
Yeah,
I think you did that.
okay, cool. So you're not. People aren't getting like.
No. I don't have a problem with the idea of review copies. The games have to get out there to people to review, or
Yeah.
else you don't have, maybe you don't want to have to be going out and buying all of your games, and if you may have games that you've bought that are come ahead in the queue anyway. So
Right.
if they get the game to you, you're more likely to go ahead and review it. And I can understand absolutely
You
why
should
they would do
review
that.
it. Yeah. I mean, if you commit it to reviewing. Now, if they're sending out copies, I've had a couple of companies that send me games because maybe they sent me a game in the past and they've sent me a game, no talking to me or anything, and it just shows up.
Yeah.
I'm not obligated to review it. Right? Because
Oh, you're not. No, of course not.
I mean, I would do it because they sent it to me for free, but I mean, there was no communication with that, So
Yeah.
if there's some sort of like communication, there is an incentive for you to review it, but I don't think any reviewer should feel incentivized to always say, this is the best game I've ever sent. And it's like they hold up the box next to them, like with the logo of the company next, like some kind of product placement or something. Anyway,
Yeah, well, they have to have the game to do the review, so
that's true too.
that's why they're sending them out. Makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's, you do this as a hobby, you do it because you enjoy it. You have to, have something to review, and there it is. So,
Yeah.
there you go.
Well, let's move on to some other questions here. This one's always something that people complain about a whole lot. And since we've done a lot of reviews on this podcast, how many times should you or a game reviewer play a game before reviewing it? This is always the question. People, you didn't play it enough.
Yeah.
Well, and this might be unpopular. I don't know. I don't know what people are really saying about it. But really, for me, most games, reviews are subjective anyway. So most games, I know, do I like it or don't like it? With one play, there are some games I'm like, oh, I didn't get the strategy down until halfway through. So multiple plays might make you like it or dislike it more.
Right.
But you have a pretty good feeling about a game just in one play. If you're a gamer and you're playing all the time. I think Tom actually even referenced that as well.
Tom always says as many times as it takes.
Right.
He's like so vague with it. Maybe he said some things specific that I didn't hear, but I know he says that quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. And I kind of agree with that. You don't have to play it 8 times, all player counts, and to be subjective on how you felt about the game.
Yeah. What do you think, Matt? How many times?
I mean that if you're reviewing copies after copies after copies, as Tom, you just have to learn to trust people whenever they do it. I don't think Tom has to play a game 3-4 times to get across this point. I don't think, and that's also why we don't say most of the time we're not reviewing. We get first impression.
Right.
Yeah, because we haven't played the game 10 times.
We haven't played it 10 times through and through with different player counts. And I don't really think you need to, but it covers our butts a little bit by saying that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they are kind of reviews, but we're not framing them as reviews because,
Right.
Right.
And I will say there are games that there's a big difference between playing it 3 players or playing it 5 players even.
That is the next question, so let's hold off on that one.
Okay.
What about you, George? How many times should you play it before you review it?
I'm one of these people that thinks you should play it a higher number of times if you're reviewing it. But I do think if you're disclosing how many times that you've played it, then the people who are listening to you at least that information gives them something to go off of.
Right.
I think your opinion of a game can just drastically change over several plays.
It can, yeah.
So-
Especially because Eric was saying at the beginning of the podcast, the more he played Le Havre, the more he's like, whoa.
Oh, it was a big difference. And it was also, 3.5 years.
Yeah, I
difference.
guess playing it within a time limit is different than playing it over like a decade.
Yeah.
So I would like to have played a game between 3 and 5 times, but it usually doesn't end up that way, just because of busy life and
Right.
not having time to do it. So like you were saying, the more experience that you have with games, then, there's more for you to talk about. You have more to base your opinion on and your first impressions.
Yeah.
So just take it.
I think game
With
length
that.
can come into account too. I don't really expect a dude to play a game that's 3 to 4 hours long 4 to 5 times.
Yeah.
Right.
My way I always explain this to people is I'm reviewing the game. I'm reviewing a product. I'm not play testing this product. So I don't need to play every single scenario or every single outcome or every single whatever.
Well, that might be where the as many as it takes comes across. There's a point where you go, okay, I think I've seen everything.
Yes.
I get it.
I've
Right.
experienced this game.
Like Mage Knight, the board game, you can play it one time and you can tell me what you think about it. Different scenarios might change up the way the game plays, but it's like a 4-hour game. If I played a 10-minute game of No Thanks, I mean, No Thanks is probably pretty simple, but a game that's real quick that you might want to play it 3 or 4 times, then sure. But typically, it's not going to change a lot. It's really if dramatically changing scenarios. Not just like, okay, now we're going to these 3 locations. Like
There's
maybe
a lot of cards you could see or
Right.
something like that.
or the play methods. Like for instance, early in the podcast, we talked about detective. You have to play that like the competitive way, the cooperative way. We don't play solo, so who cares? But
Right.
but you have to experience both of those because they are dramatically different.
Yes.
Like I would say that. I mean, let's add in real quick while you get ready to respond. should you play every player counts as well?
Well, that's kind of hard as well. And maybe if you're only playing it at 5 players or whatever, you can be like, based on my player count at 5 players, I thought maybe the downtime was too high. But you can now go ahead and say that I think that would be fixed by playing at 3 players. Now, playing at 3 players might have gave you a better impression about the game, but you kind of have like foresight on that as well. You know how that's going to change.
Yeah, no, I agree. Unless it's a game like, what was it? It was called King of the Hill, like Dwarven something. We've reviewed it before.
Oh, yeah, where it changed the rules of the game and you played it a little bit differently at
every player count.
Mm-hmm.
It was 5-player game. Did you play that one with us? I think you did.
I think so. Is that where you got like the rows and you bid on it?
It's where you have like
the tables. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You played that with us too, I think.
I don't know.
Maybe
I don't
not.
think so.
Not me.
Oh, we should play. It's actually pretty fun.
All right.
But like at 3 players, you take out an entire section of the game and combine it with another one. That dramatically changes it. And at 4 players, you put it back, but there's like another round, and there's only like 3 rounds of the game. So 4th round is literally it changes a lot because of what is going on. And then at 5 players, you actually add this other thing. So it's like every player count had something different that you did. And we literally had to play every player count at that point, except for 2 players, because we're not about that life. But like solo 2 players, unless it's a 2-player only game. Anyway. And so we had to play it at every player count. But a game that, like Agricola, I don't think playing it at 3 and 4 players really matter, or 5 players.
I mean, it does change actually. Yeah.
Yeah, I would not kind of agree with
just-
that.
Agricola does change at
No,
big
it
player
just
count
changes
differences.
the
the feel of the game.
locations.
I mean, it does also.
Do you think it changes the feel of the game?
Yes.
It's a worker placement game.
Now things are tighter. Yeah, it does.
With 4 players?
Because there's more people out. Yeah, it gets
There's more spaces.
harder to get stuff.
Like we're gonna have to play Agricola.
It's been a while.
It is not that dramatically different.
I remember it being way different. I mean, I haven't
Turn
played
order.
Agricola for a while now.
Matt, what do you think? Do you remember?
Do you know how long it's been since I played Agricola?
remember.
It doesn't matter how many players. I never feel like I can get as much as I want done. So I don't.
That's true. That's like that's a common theme.
Yeah, I
well,
know.
what about like other worker
Look,
placement games? Like,
No.
Like
Let's stick with
Waterdeep.
Agricola. Hang on. This is why there's a 2-player Agricola. All creatures great and small. That's why.
It seems like most worker placement games
2
feel more
players is different.
claustrophobic with the higher player count, though. So I mean, I can't say definitively I know exactly what they're saying, but
Okay, you know what? I did forget one thing. You do only have 2 family members to start with, no matter the player count. So I will give you that. Like in Waterdeep, your agent limits change with the player count because it basically takes how many spaces are on the board divided by the players, and that's kind of how many agents that you get. Because you don't want to get to a point where you have agents that you can't even place. Whereas Agricola, you only get 2 people. If you're playing with 3 people, you only get 2 people. But it does add difference.
Yep.
I don't know if it's much more. We'll come back to that.
I think for me, the point is disclose your player count. Just like, how many times you played the game, also say how many people you played it with. And, you're going to be drawn to reviewers that tend to play with the number of players that
You typically
play with.
Sure.
If you're listening to a reviewer who only plays 2-player games and you don't play 2-player games, then you're not doing yourself.
I was going to
much
say
Yeah.
the same thing about solo gamers.
Right.
You're going to find a reviewer that does solo games.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. I think that's very specific. Yeah. But
Right.
I don't know if we would find a reviewer. It's like, we always play 4 players.
Oh, I wouldn't say that, but
But typically,
Yeah.
I mean, we typically play at least 4,
At least
Yeah,
4.
At least 4, yeah.
but not always. I play 2-player as well. So,
Yeah.
but
I don't
together we play with 4.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, let's change it up a bit and talk about what we like out of reviews. So what's your preferred format for reviews? This is another thing that kind of cropped up in the same threads, but then it ended up having to be like separated into another thread because they're always complaining about you and I have had this conversation before too. Do you like to hear the person go through the rules? Do you like to hear their opinions? Do you like to hear what's your preferred format for reviews?
My preferred format is opinions and not the rules.
I do the same
tune
thing. I was
out.
like,
I
all
tune
right, I go all the way across until they're done with the rules, and I want to hear what they think about the game. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, would you rather that not even have that section?
I personally, yes, but I mean, I imagine it's there because people do use it.
Right. I would say a lot of people want to,
Send us your feedback.
have right.
Everybody
has
send
their-
us your feedback.
Please do. Yeah,
their
I'd like to know.
wants. And I bet
Stop
there's a lot of
talking so
people-
much on the rules section.
I bet there's a lot of people that want to hear about the rules, how it plays, and that's kind of what they get from it. Maybe they don't really care about what your opinions are as much as they garner a lot from. I want to see it played. I want to see the components. I want to see what you do during the game. For me, it's different. I kind of want to see that quickly and not 15 minutes of it or whatever.
Yeah.
So I just want to go to like, okay, tell me what you thought about the game. Did you like it? What you liked about it? What you didn't like about it?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, if I get a basic idea of how it plays, like what are the mechanisms involved and
Right.
how does that run, I don't want to know, blow
It's
by
not a
blow.
learn to play.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
That's not my interest. No.
What about you, Matt?
Yeah, there's a young lady that I cannot remember her name, but she'll do most games in 5 minutes.
5-minute review.
It's not a review; it's an explanation. I'll watch that, and then I'll fast forward through the 15 minutes and get to the opinion
Of other
reviewers.
Yes.
Because I've just kind of
Sure.
She quickly told me how it goes.
So you like the elevator pitch and then tell me about the game.
Yes.
That's fair.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for me to tell.
And
you.
then
You
if I
just
get-
watch my reviews to see my preferred view.
If I get that interested, I might go the longer route and watch a more in-depth, like full, like
Right.
video. And that's me just getting more interested in the game. But if I just want to quickly, like, okay, how's it play? All right, I got that. How did you think about it? Great, sweet.
Mhm.
Yeah. I like to hear, what you think of this game and how it ranks related to other games like it. So
Right.
that way I sort of get a feel over several reviews of what that person likes,
Yeah.
and how they view different games. And then I can see how well does that fit myself.
Although I will say that some people will take that and they'll try to compare and contrast, and I hate when that happens a lot. Like, for instance, just taking Agricola and Waterdeep, since we were getting in that. If they're talking about, or Waterdeep and Champions in Midgard,
Yido.
or whatever, right?
Oh, you
Worker
guys good.
placement, it's like, well, in comparison to this other worker placement, no.
It's like, yeah, I don't like that either.
Like, if you
No.
want to do one small little thing,
I
that's
don't.
cool, but not comparing the entire game. I don't know. Like, are you reviewing this game, or are you making a this game fired video?
Okay.
Yeah, I actually don't like I'll just fire this other game for me.
I don't
kind
get
of
that
videos.
either.
Yeah,
Do you ever feel like games fire other games?
sometimes
Very
but-
seldomly. It can
Right.
happen.
I
but
mean, it is blatantly obvious when it like they took that game. It's like, we're gonna fire this game. All
Right, we're gonna
right.
make this game up better.
But like Champions of Midgard, they always said that it fired Waterdeep. I love both those games equally.
And I wouldn't say they're too similar.
No.
they're totally
The
different.
worker placements. Okay.
yeah.
So, well, anyway, that's all the questions I actually had. Do y'all want to add anything else? Did have any things that you jotted down and didn't talk about?
Not I.
I didn't jot things down, actually.
Maticus?
No time.
No, I don't think so.
I think we're good.
I think I just looked at your questions and went with it. And
Yeah, the last one was, what do you look for in a review the most? But we pretty much combined that with the last thing. So.
right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, anyway, if you have comments and questions, send them to MeepleCore@gmail.com. We'll talk about them. What do you think about reviewers? What do you expect from them? Like, do you like when they get review copies, or does it change your mind? Do you like when they pay for it or whatever? So
I really like it when reviewers are negative. If a reviewer trashes the game, that's interesting to me. I want to know why.
yeah,
Right.
as long as they don't trash games all the time.
Well, no,
like they're trying to be.
I'm okay with that.
More
it-
trash than the better.
because it's like the movie critics that all they want to do is be a comedy routine at that point. So they're just trashing to be funny.
No, not for not for comedic effect. Like they sincerely didn't like the game, and this is why.
That's fair.
That's helpful to me.
It is
Right.
helpful if you are trashing a game without the comedy. That's when
Yes.
it's helpful. If you're trashing a game with the comedy,
Okay,
you're trying to be funny.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's just, it looks stupid. I hate when reviewers do that. Now, sometimes it is funny. I'm not going to lie.
Sure.
It's kind of like when you're in the movie theater and somebody yells something when something happens. You're like, I wish he was shut up, but that was awesome. It's kind of like that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's helpful information for me, I think, is knowing, again, about that reviewer, what they don't like. And, they didn't like this one, so maybe I wouldn't like it either.
Or maybe, kind of like movie reviewers, I'm not going to watch this guy for action films, or I'm not going to watch this guy for Euros because he always trashes them. He gives always negative reviews. I don't even know why he reviews Euro games anymore.
Well, yeah, it can't be an extreme. It can't be someone who's always positive or always negative. That's either one is less helpful. So
Yep. All right, well, cool. We have one more topic on the podcast, and it's our top 5 list. So let's get into that.